The survivor assessment form is meant to record information gathered on the case regarding both risks and needs, as well as strengths and resources. The information recorded in this form will be analyzed and used as a base for developing the case plan. This includes the survivor profile, basic demographic information on the survivor, including sex, age, and displacement status, and any other relevant information. It includes survivor family situation. Is she married and/or living with an intimate partner? If her husband or intimate partner is not the perpetrator, does he know about what happened to her? Does she have children? If so, how many and how old are they? Do her children live with her? Who are the other family members present in the client's life on a daily basis? Does the survivor have other relatives that are present in her life? Then we have the survivor's living situation. Does the survivor have a place to live? Where? Who lives in the house with her? Does she live with her husband or intimate partner? Are there relatives living nearby? Then the survivor's occupation or role in the community is next. Does the survivor work? Is her work at home? Does she have paid employment? Part-time or full-time? Does the survivor have a special role in the community where she or he lives? For child survivors, there are special considerations. Does she live with her parents? If her parents or guardians are not the perpetrators, do they know about what happened to her? Who are the other family members present in the client's life on a daily basis? Does the survivor have other relatives that are present in her life? These questions all give us information about her context. Then it moves into questions about the presenting problem, including describe what happened to the survivor in her own words. Identify what problem, concern, issues the survivor is requesting assistance or support for. You can list the survivor's main concerns in her own words. These might include immediate safety, children's safety, access to economic resources, medical assistance, perception of others, as a few examples. You'll need to describe what happened to the survivor in her own words. What is the nature of the violence? When did it occur? What prompted her to seek services? What are her main concerns? What does she want help with? Then move on to assessments. Here you can summarize key assessment points with respect to the nature, timing, frequency, and severity of the violence reported, who the perpetrator was in relation to the survivor, and whether they may have access to the survivor in order to determine risk. You can gauge emotional well-being, ability to keep up with day-to-day tasks, overall sense of safety in the world, and ability to trust others. Identify the survivor's needs, safety, health, psychosocial, legal, justice, practical material, and others, as well as her strengths and coping strategies to determine needs for psychosocial support and other appropriate and timely referrals. You can look at her current situation and the imminent risks. Identify situations, circumstances, and people that are continuing to harm the survivor or put her at risk of harm. Does the perpetrator know where the survivor is right now? If yes, does the survivor think that the perpetrator may come to find her here? When did the incident take place? Is the survivor bleeding, or do they have an acute injury or any severe pain, especially head injuries? Was there any forced vaginal or anal penetration? Was physical force or weapons used? How frequently has the survivor experienced violence like this incident? What is the relationship between the survivor and the perpetrator? Does the perpetrator have access to a weapon? Does the perpetrator have a history of using violence against others, abusing alcohol or drugs, and a history of depression or other mental health issues? Has the survivor sought help previously, and did they receive any care or treatment? Does the survivor express any current or past suicidal thoughts? Related to that, you can look at safety needs. Will the survivor be in immediate danger when she leaves here? How safe does the survivor feel at home? Note, the caseworker can use tools such as the safety scale to help determine this. Has the survivor ever tried to get help from anyone else? Has the survivor ever tried to leave? Are aspects about the perpetrator's profile or the type of violence something that places the survivor in immediate danger? You can look at health needs. Does the client require or want medical attention? Did the last incident occur within the last 120 hours? Would the survivor like to know more about medication and exam options? Is the survivor complaining of physical pain and injury, or bleeding or discharge? Then psychosocial needs. How does a survivor describe her emotional state? Based on your observations, how would you describe her appearance and behavior? Is there anything strange or unusual about the survivor's appearance or behavior right now? What is your sense of their level of functioning? You can listen for indications that the survivor stopped leaving the house, conducting her daily activities, talking with or seeing family and friends, or her sleep patterns and eating habits are disturbed. What are her legal needs? Does the survivor wish to report to formal authorities and/or take legal action? What are the risks, benefits, time, and costs the survivor should factor into her decisions to take legal action? Is legal recourse an immediate priority for the survivor? What information does the client need to make a decision about justice? Does the survivor want more information about how her legal rights or options for taking the case through the formal justice system or informal justice systems? Does the survivor understand the differences between how a case would be handled through traditional or informal justice mechanisms? Practical or material needs. Does the survivor have access to income? Does she have access to food, clothes, phone credit, transportation, etc.? What are the survivor's sources of support, including family and community? Is the survivor's lack of income impacting her ability to be safe? Is the survivor's lack of or access to income putting her at risk for violence? Then finally, for our own system information, the last question is about how long it took you to enter this information into the system.